Ani Buju, welcome to this week's edition of Indigenous Insights. I'm your host, Mitch. I got a great show planned out for you here today. We'll have the KBIC's language teacher, Howard Kimewon, in the studio. We talk with Howard about some of his background and his new job here in the KBIC teaching us the language. Howard's in both the Baraga and Lant schools teaching the kids, and he's also teaching a class Tuesdays at 6:30 in Baraga at the Senior Citizens Building, and that's for adults. We are also expecting a call in from Kenn Pitawawanakwat. Howard and Ken are old friends, so that'll be really cool. I also had the chance to sit down with Michele Wellman-Teeple from the Bay Mills Community College. Michele is the assistant director for the Anishinaabe-Muin Panay program. We caught up with her at the Cultural Building during class this past weekend. We also have new immersion for you. So let's get things on the move. We'll have Howard on the air in just a bit here. Let's spin some music here first. Black Lodge is on deck. Here's Northern Cree on Indigenous Insights. This is Mitch for Indigenous Insights, Eagle Radio's weekly Anishinaabe radio program. Miigwech for tuning in here on this Saturday. We have a guest in the studio, recently moved to the area from Mount Pleasant, the KBIC's language teacher, Mr. Howard Kimewon. Welcome back to the show, Howard.
Ani Miigwech, mapiga kabigit shin ni wiben nanige to niya pangi. Up chukunishin, mampigi petagosna. Chukuni kiksana pi bisangi ya mampi. Up the bone ba, Miigwech a bone ba. Midashkeni mampigi which me go wiben Anishinaabe. Kinomagia. Anishinaabe mwin. Wibe kinomagia minawi nakatoa manda Anishinaabe mwin kabeshinawok. Manda kanagini gibe kogni wo mignagini which nakatoa. Kiabashkon kastolmi nakatoa we. Nung komanda Anishinaabe mwin bebe notama ap chagoni I. Kagom na taxe no gwanda baby kilomage check anin hekatot kago migo ni we benata to komanda Anishinaabe mun kuinach tona ma pishe chino gona mandak yenong gibe kinamok na pinochi iskani cheke we Anishinaabe mot minasko gwanda gimach tago ge kinomo gwanda na Nintendo nuichik kak. Kai se check dakit si get ka check dakit. Kogini se check gibe non sin merge. Mi gnagini gabe no tamappa ne ke ka check. Mi gnagini gabe shinon to wa gonta get si mak. Mina manda. Nei. Mampi baman sing. Anishinaabe man go na got nongo kabe me agane tago ge go shikidin mage kababa panata Anishinaabe mwinde go we no shagai kensi na ocean Anishinaabe mot we no ge what be mitch ke tago ske go nakwet manda we kse to mata Anishinaabe mwin be she giba sigat ni bdago manda be misho be singo Anishinaabe mia Mina ko gai me da parasina ni bna chinge go shit question shit kwetama ke go she besho ma bash mina go kebe get na ge go we kek kedat na ma pina ma ba Anishinaabe ge ma piga be chitu be na ge donia.
Miigwech for being here, Howard. It's good to have that language here in the studio. Something you talk about often when just this weekend at immersion is that true fluency is when you can reply to somebody or speak on something from many different angles, many different perspectives, not just having that one straight answer. That's a true. Tell us a little bit about that true fluency.
Man, that Anishinaabe man, ni bna chingwe go grat kwetan, gdashit kwetan. Mage go ni bna chinge go nom taman ke ni bna chingo ge krashet kweta ne nam taman me ga go to peso ko nang manda na bisis no Anishinaabe mo ni no na gi ni manda ibn Anishinaabe mo to ta ga ben cheba ap chego ni bna chinge go shet kwet mok anen go ni mage we kalchana ska ge we nan ki kan go gi ketana go no mina go kan go ge in kashigi keta Maged miso mis kan go gengi shaka gas mek ke go winan kia. Mina go gengashe macha daketa. Mina shugin papa go not go ni. Man pibe san daketa not go ni. Gikke toch Anishinaabe kana ke go kanto at mage go geteat mage kawa min ke dot mage pesach kan dakkedok mage pesage kan gomina dakkedok no chugo gi bati nat Anishinaabe mun ni no na gi ni gi be ko ni go ya bus na Anishinaabe go de ki go biap konsen no go mi go ke to go alen go gon dap chugon tat kwet mok ap chugon men tanwe go yen tat kwet tang Anishinaabe mun kai beso ko nang shinak sinon Anishinaabe mun minang ko ben chabay mage ko chashai Kami miam mako ganda karin nishnabe kapchugan ta nishnabe muk. Nen chikuge no ago miigwech besho ko bisi chigiat miigwech msa negini gwech tagab kenda muat miigwech na bisi chigiat. Kai nishis noe webinatat nishnabe win quinach tona. Ina gwandak baby shi chiknango keknomo go no chikwe go gwandak. The batchmatok is it quit mangego. Mino we nam the mot again on Monday should quit mong. Maged nanigitona. Mage ke go waiting. Nibina chingo go shana got waiting. I went to any meat shin wig a ticket of simage. That not up and under go on take a ticket of simage. Quita ba mo naman takidin kay kinay usyanak sino ni sinabi mo mi ganay nanukot nung ganani ba nagay ko metabat taman magi kego pituin kego so misa memchikuin kego na michem kau ni paran na rap kinige sini pan sinabi miya kay ni kangkasya magengo kamis magen misomis mage nos Mage je snabek peshe ja gabet nakichik kaika gita po mo si kuin snabi mia wait pas gimi na kok gimchi kok snabi mo kana magi ni omta na te ko be sang ko te man te giskat mi kana maganent mo we mage Mr. Nagajan and Gwen Tamai, Mandan Snabi, Gimme no Goman, the guy, Kaman the Gish little sin. None of what Noshko Snabi, when Mim Jetta, Mage, not the more in a Snabi, but Miss Miminan, the one that bomb died when the Snabi went. Pim died when the Snabi went, Puchubo Gikitonson. The negative which should be got take me on Metayate, give more to tie yoke. Kaya ko nga pa na sinabi kikinsin niya ito mo kaya mimanta na sinabi mo nang question ako.
We have Howard Kimewon in the studio. This is Indigenous Insights. We'll be back.
Hey!
right, we're back in the studio. This is Indigenous Insights. I'm your host, Mitch. I'm here along with
Howard Kimewon, das Nikas.
We're hanging out in the studio here on this Saturday afternoon. Howard's teaching the language Anishinaabe in the Berga and Lant schools. Is that kindergarten through 12th grade?
Miigwech, Buego, kindergarten, grade 12.
All right, very good. Talk a little bit about what it's been like working with the community youth.
China go ide bigis kau man da geni eshigita mino ejinna negetonia we na go set to na no mako ninchetta ni shigises ninchetta ge no ni wim da tapa na mot geni man ten wa kai ko chini man do ni shnabe mun ginchet ken sin ko chini na no mo ko konsima gem senegning deng man da gin denan shnabe mun de apchugun shin we kwam kom wanda geni giben chwana ba mi shoda gaben chwet on wanda Anishinaabe mun mino ni apchugo gi megen ne go kontak na dakno magnak ngia gnet ta go ke shigi gitang nangosh ko mena da panana go apchugo ni nen dag syo ke shkat ni ge no go bis da go so na kai Kani te geni nen toksi ma gena ka monene. Ode nin da basha ni sa chu. Gojo de beshik chote no chana ka mode no shin ka de kmyode ke baya ba geni tana ka mia. Mage de ya mi oden goch ke patne si amba. Mi no manda ne Anishinaabe not tot ge go gali. Kain den nak isi mi wet Anishinaabe tagya kai. Kai no chige go ge ken se hombre me kno magesin ke ken da magwe tan da kno magen Anishinaabe mun o chepo mun e ok tok mi e kno magia
Miigwech, I also got word that you've been hanging out over at the seniors building over there at lunchtime, eh? Over there when they eat. What's it been like hanging out with the community elders? Have they been throwing some language around and stuff?
Oh, yeta iskamogo no ni geken megok Anishinaabe mi amina go iskamogo ni dakno mo go nakshik godo sata bagnik shop tage ro dakno mo kek ni shikona gak skon megi shikak ni ma ka ni skon megi shikak ni shikona gak so go mikeno mo go ge no ni o Anishinaabe mo tapchugo ni nen dag suge no gana go nik na anen go ganta ga week Anishinaabe mo ni nun sina misha oye na ka we ni kin ma de bisun go chuin na we de bach matta wat Anishinaabe nin chin mi ge mi nang go te kai mi ni abde ni much gonna get tiempo ne guy keep up tax ya ni na Anishinaabe ta wapanen mi ga ka Asian to the moto on the kai ko chum sinegning mi shibi yat mage we can on the motum senat this generation Anishinaabe man kai shit kai da sinwe Anishinaabe mun si go up chugum patito mi na go nen ka chuna kino ne go ya kast nistat tan ko pitch Anishinaabe mun we ne wondo geno nak da popiten tam gai no ebensi apcheni ni bidan sabon gening gin chatta we ne Anishinaabe mi gai ko bon magiri sabon gin chatta si we ne go mi no to ma quisniot na quisneme na quechege men dak kidigana ma na quechege mi den chana quechege sigi shok chushko ni mena gano megok mena gano mako ge ni mata ni enakia mina enakia we nesoni dan to ta gok mina we ni ge ni dan to kai mo mina spuni da bach matta de miso na ge ni kabsik ka mina gibi to on pa she shuma pini Anishinaabe shkona ga ningyan
Miigwech. I think I told you about it this weekend that some of my first memories of hearing fluent speech wasn't that long ago in my life, was when I was in Kenn's class, and he would actually just call you on his cell phone, and you guys would converse back and forth. And it was kind of like when Mabel and Linda were on the show the other week. They were talking about how conversation is a little bit different. We actually are going to have Kenn call into the studio here in a little bit, and we can put you guys on conversing and stuff. And that's going to be kind of like a flashback for the past for me, because that's where it all kind of started. So, Miigwech, Howard, for staying here. You got a little bit longer for us?
Oh, yeah.
Miigwech.
Yeah, bet.
This is Indigenous Insights. Let's get back into the music. All right, we're back on Indigenous Insights. This is your host, Mitch. I'm in the studio along with Mr. Howard Kimewon, KBIC's language teacher. Miigwech for being here today, Howard.
Okay, good.
And we also have a guest calling on the line. We have Mr. Kenn Pitawawanakwat. How's it going, Ken?
Very, very good. Thank you for having me again there, Bolo. It's always fun to have a chat with you. It's always exciting for me to be up in the UP and talk to the Upers and talk to the streams and trees and water and so forth, you know. And I still remember those first days that we got connected, and us and the posse. So I was standing outside for that photo op, and I still have fond memories of that. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, I was just talking with Howard about that in some of my first classes with you, some of my first memories of really listening to fluent languages when you and Howard would talk on the phone, because Howard, you were down in Mount Pleasant, right, Howard?
Ann Arbor.
Right.
Ann Arbor. So then Ken would call, or you would call Ken, or he would call you, and you guys would just chat on the phone and make jokes and laugh, and all of us students were sitting there listening to those conversations. Remember that, Ken?
I remember that because I wanted to get some authenticity. I wanted to get some, you know, other than just me, people hearing from just me. I wanted to hear somebody else speaking the language that I is my first language, and I'm having technical issues over here. But
you're trying to get your Facebook video up too, right, Ken?
Yeah.
Well, right off the bat, let's promo that. Where can people find you on Facebook? Because you're an author, you have your book out, and you're promoting that right now. So where can people find you on Facebook?
Well, it's facebook.com/Kenn Pitawawanakwat. No, I even got that wrong. Kenn Author, Kenn Author. That's it. Yeah, that's where it can be, or on my website, KennPitawawanakwat.com. So there's a lot of extra material on there, and I'm going to try and get my video going over here. I'm talking to you, so I'm trying to clear up my tech issues over here. But yeah, no, I wanted to get Howard, and I remember the time Howard came up wherever he was teaching at the time, so excited, and just to talk to somebody from back home, talk to somebody in the language, and he came up from all the way downstate below the bridge and came and visited me, and to me that was a highlight. So that shows an overwhelming camaraderie and support and recognition of each other's lives and histories, because we grew up together over here on the res, and it was just good to show him around. And I was brand new there, don't forget. I was brand new there also, so I didn't really know too much of where to go show around. It was just all a new place and new visuals and new people and new everyone. So,
anything memorable from that trip, Howard?
I thought Kenny was gonna grow up to be a regular man, but from the last time I seen him, I guess he must have stopped growing. He was still the same height when he might have been 15 years old or 16. He stopped growing at 16 or 15. I don't know. He was short. And I didn't hardly recognize him. Kid na Kenneth, kid na go get. I said, kid na go get the Kenneth, kid na go. He started laughing at me. Ninagwa, he said, Ninagwa.
You guys did grow up together, didn't you?
Oh yes, we did. Really did. We had a good time. We used to play ice hockey together. We used to roam around together.
Are you guys right at the same age?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. So
he's my elder, so I have to respect him.
So going back to those days, who was better at hockey?
Yeah, hockey. He's a tough guy, and Howard used to like challenging the other guys, and we had fun with that. And we were all tough. We smashed into the boards, and we took it. We took the bruises, we took the laughter that grew with it, and then we took the hot dogs that came with it after. That was our treat, a hot dog after, and yeah, it was good.
Do you keep that all through life then, Howard, that sort of charging forward like that?
Oh, yes. I never wait for anybody to go ahead of me. I usually try and go ahead with the language. I do that with the language also. If it's something wrong with the language, I try and correct the people that are bringing it to the other people. If they're lying to the people, I usually try and correct them right now, and then again, they get mad at me for doing that,
Yeah. Well, that's why I really wanted to get you in the studio, because a radio station is a good place for opinionated people. Isn't that right, Nishmaster Ken?
When I first heard radio, like, our viewers won't even understand this or comprehend this probably, but it was a radio that was about 3 foot high, 2 foot deep, and it was powered by a car battery, and we used to listen to country music on Saturday nights, the Grand Ole Opry. And that battery was saved for those nights. But I remember looking into the slats, the openings of that brown radio, and seeing all those tubes, which no longer exist, and different colored tubing. Usually they were red. I remember one time, and we were living way out in the middle of nowhere where we were the last house on the road. The running water was ours. We traveled by horse and buggy. And then when we did get finally an automobile in those days, my uncles had to start it by cranking it from the outside at the front of the engine. Howard will remember this. And somebody else had to be inside the vehicle to step on the starter with your right foot and the gas with the right foot at the same time without flooding the engine, and your left foot on the clutch and your right hand on the key, turning the key and pulling the choke out at the same time. So hopefully the vehicle would start. But that was our big change in the progress. I remember back then, we used to have our water delivered by horse and wagon, and Noe used to deliver our water for 50 cents for 50 gallons in a gallon a house.
Gopkoksak. Gopkoksak.
Goksak. But yeah, hey, listen, before I forget, I don't know when you have to go to break, but I want to say something special about our dear cousin, Isaac Pitawawanakwat, whom we buried today. He was 70 years old. He grew up in Toronto. He worked in Michigan. He lived in Michigan. And we buried him today. And with burials and wakes up in Wikis, it's the only time you seem to catch up with others you haven't seen for decades sometimes. Some of your listeners would be interested to know that I ran into Mabel Lewis there, Linda Pelche, Barb Nolan, and everybody was giving respects. I remember the music of the guitar player and the singing, and I remember the smudge that they were using. And I remember the teepee outside where the sacred fire was going. And I remember family hugging and just welcoming each other. And Isaac was really well respected in the community. And you can tell by the large turnout of people, not only from the Res, but from beyond, places, and non-native people included in that. So I just want to say Miigwech for knowing Isaac, and if you didn't know him, man, we're that much poorer. And my biggest regret with him is, hey, how?
We have Kenn Pitawawanakwat on the phone line with us. Howard Kimewon's in the studio with us. This is Indigenous Insights. We'll be back. Miigwech, Miigwech.
There, Ruben. Anytime ready there. Smokes after jam on that Bear Creek. That's Should be there. That is
So here we go. This is Mitch for Indigenous Insights. Once again, I'm at the immersion program at the KBIC Cultural Building here in Baraga, but the class is through the Bay Mills Community College. I've been a student now for years. I like to really get my class experience in there. I'm here with
Michele Wellman-Teeple.
And why don't you explain a little bit about your job position through the Bay Mills Community College?
I'm the assistant director for the Anishinaabe Panay immersion program. So I basically take care of the administrative side of things for our immersion program. And we have 3 sites here in Baraga, over at Bay Mills, and down in Harbor Springs in the tip of the mitten. I do registrations. I make sure that everybody has their proper paperwork submitted for their tribal scholarships or things that they need to get for the tribe. We have to have all of those same things over in our student records. And then I also get to take turns teaching with our fluent speaker teachers when we have our classes over at the local BMCC site.
Very cool. And you like to use the, how do you say his first name? I always said Neakset, but...
Neachit is how he says it, so I try to say it like he says it. Neachit, gray morning. I think Neachit means gray morning. So
okay.
At least that's what it looked like from his paperwork. So the method that Dr. Neachit Gray Morning developed is called the Accelerated Second Language Acquisition Method. I, as a learner and a teacher, try to stick with an immersion style of delivering lessons when I'm teaching here in the immersion classes. So I like Dr. Neachit's method because you don't use any English, you don't translate. That's one of the main rules, that you don't ever translate when you're doing his lessons. And it uses a series of what he calls skill sets, which are pictures that start with just one word picture, or a picture that you can describe with one word, I should say, nouns. The second set of pictures is a 2-word sentence, a living being doing something. When you get to the third set, then you're getting into phrases that include the location that things are happening, or that somebody is at, or something is at.
And when you mean location, it's like it could even be on top of or under, behind.
Right, yeah, that's what we're talking about. So we have, I forget how many pictures now, 30-something or maybe 40-something pictures of...
Which can be translated to how many different phrases.
Right, yeah, so we also I try to include other details in these pictures, so as we get further into other skill sets, we can go back and add more to the easier skill sets. And as we learn to say more. And so the students, when our other teachers are doing the immersion style that Panay has developed, it's primarily storytelling, and they aren't forcing the students. That's one of the guiding principles for the immersion style that Panay uses, is that we don't force the students to speak. In the ASLA method, I don't force students to speak, but I encourage it.
Yeah.
And make it a game and make it fun. And I think when the students see me struggling sometimes with words and getting help from the first speakers, then they don't feel so self-conscious. At least that's what I hope is happening.
So it's about almost like at least try to make a sound. It's not about pronouncing it perfect.
Right, yeah. I mean, when you think about one of the other things that we talk about with the Panay program is that when babies are learning their first language, it takes 2,000 hours for them to be able to understand. So by the time a child has been born up to his about 2.5 years of age, that's when they've been listening for 2,000 hours.
Yeah.
So they should understand most of what they hear. And in between that, newborn time and that 2.5 years, they're starting to learn how to make sounds, and then intentionally making sounds to form words. So,
Usually to say they want something.
right, or they need something.
Yeah.
And so
it's kind of like it is immersion, but it's more of a directed immersion.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we're going to keep you here for a bit. We'll kind of go into that a little bit more, because that's a really cool way, because you get into the language circles, there's always kind of the academic world versus the immersion world, but that's kind of a blending of the two.
Right, I think it is. And I think as I've been doing research about learning language acquisition and language teaching and learning methods, different methods sort of work different parts of your brain. And we've talked about that before, where the immersion style is filling up that language acquisition device that all of us have for languages that we're hearing and learning. So we're absorbing and building our understanding in the Panay style. When we're doing the ASLA, the Accelerated Second Language Acquisition style, you're using a different part of your brain to form speech and sound, and also seeing pictures in combination with that. So it sort of pulls both together, like you said, as kind of a combination of these different ways of acquiring language. And that's another thing that both styles talk about, acquisition versus learning. And you mentioned academic versus acquisition. So to me, when you say academic, I'm thinking you're talking about learning a reading and writing system and grammar and orthography. And I tried to study Anishinaabe in that method. And I could tell you about the language, but I couldn't speak the language and really understand when some fluent speaker, if they tried to talk to me, it would take, I'm still translating in my head. And when you're translating in your head, that's a learning way that you're doing, versus if you're just understanding what's being said, you don't have to translate.
Yeah, for me, a really good way to measure that for myself is with numbers. Like, you can ask somebody, well, what is Nijwaswe? And then if they have to count up to that to say 7, then you know that they just memorize that order. But if they can kind of know where 7 is at, because you know where 7 is at according to numbers in English, like you know exactly where 26 is at, and you don't have to count up all the way up to that. So or adding numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of that brain working.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about the skill sets here, but we're going to get into some music on Indigenous Insights. Can we keep you here for a bit?
Sure.
Very good. We'll be back. All right, we're back here on Indigenous Insights. This is your host, Mitch. I'm here along with
Michele Wellman-Teeple.
and we are talking about Gray Morning's what was the acronym?
ASLA.
And that's the Accelerated Second
Language
Acquisition process. And you're mentioning that there's skill sets that the students will kind of work their way through. Let's go right to the beginning just to kind of give a preview to the listeners. What's that first skill set all about?
So the first skill set is the only place where he says you have to memorize if you have no exposure to whatever language you're trying to learn. So the first skill set is just nouns. So it's 4 of each thing. So 4 people, 4 methods of transportation, 4 animals, and 4 just ordinary objects that you could find almost anywhere.
Okay, so for your first skill set, what are your objects that you stick with?
The first objects that I used are pubwin, a sin, tigons, and kick.
And just a quick, it's breaking the rules of immersion, but for the non-speakers and non-learners out there, those are?
So pubwin is a chair. No, I forgot what I said. Sin, is a stone or a rock. Tigons is a stick. And then kick is a pot or a bucket or a pail. So
these are words that someone would use normally?
Yeah, pretty much every day. And you don't want to pick a noun that's really complicated, like badakajigan, or something that's got a lot of the same sounds in it, and you feel like you're stuttering when you're saying it or stumbling over it. So we try to stick with, 2-syllable words or...
All right, so then the first skill set's those nouns, and then the second just kind of builds upon those nouns?
Yeah, so for the second skill set, actually the second skill set is using the animal words from the first skill set and the people words from the first skill set. So the first people words are nene, kwe, guizans, and quezans. So man, woman, girl, child. Girl, boy, girl. And so then you have a picture of those different people, just one in the picture, doing a simple action. So it's an action that is, to get linguistic, is not a transitive action. So the action doesn't transfer to something else. You're just talking about someone doing something. So, and then the man is sitting. Quezans nime, the girl is dancing. Guizans neba, the boy is sleeping. So you stick with maybe 5 or 6 verbs, and then after everybody's got the idea of what the first few verbs are, then you add pictures of the animals doing those same verbs that you started with. So then you go to makwa neba, the bear is sleeping. And nemush neba, the dog is sleeping. Gashak b'mipto, the cat is running. What did I do with the deer? I can't remember what I had the deer doing. So I should pull my pictures out. And then you, as everybody understands the nouns and then the verbs that you add, then you add new verbs in, and then you can add new nouns in. So then we add in maybe wabus. And then in later skill sets, I add in old man and old lady.
Oh, yeah.
Or baby. Baby was the one I added in skill set too. So benoji, wisne, benoji, bakpe.
Yeah. And then at that point, students should be able to go and join any of the phrases from any of the folders, right?
Right.
And that's the thing. It's sort of, I remember when I went to his workshop, he said, you can't help but learn the language in this process.
Right.
So for those people out there looking to learn the language, get into classes and whatnot, this is a really good way to get that, the immersion, sitting here listening to stories, but then that learning process, it really is, if you put yourself through that process, you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
There's people out there that somehow will pick up the language, same thing with music, they just know it after hearing it once. And if you don't have that kind of brain, this process, it doesn't matter, you will learn the language.
Yeah. So it's surprising to some of our students as I've been putting this system to work, and because of the Panay principle of not forcing people to speak, at first I just try to call students up who are willing to try talking. Yep. And like you said, I don't try to make them pronounce everything perfectly. I don't worry about that. You don't force a child when they're learning to speak to say everything perfectly.
At least the sound.
Right. If they're on the right track, trying to make the sound, and they know what they mean by the sound, and you can tell,
And that's what communication is. That's what speaking is, communication. If they know your intention,
Right.
That's where it starts.
Yeah, so I call up some of those students who are a little more shy, and rather than try to get them to talk, I just say, okay, I'll say the words and you just show me what I'm saying, and they can do it. A lot of them have gone through the whole first skill set after just a couple of times of seeing the other, less shy students do it.
And then, like anything to those shy students, as they get worked through, the confidence will build, and then pretty soon they'll be able to teach other people. Even I think.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those old things that I had seen in different teacher ed classes that I've been in. You learn 10% of what you read and 50% of what you say, and then when it gets to the 90 percentile, you learn 95 or 99% of what you teach. So if you can turn around and teach what you've learned, then you know it. I
wonder what, in academia when you're learning and the percentages of how much you pick up, I wonder what the percentage is for that learning process, or how much of those words you will learn and then retain over time.
Yeah, I think that there has been some study on that with other languages, and when people use these different methods, so if you use that conventional way of trying to teach reading, writing, and grammar, and the structure of a language, you might turn out someone who is a really good reader of the language, even though they don't know what they're saying. And that's how I was in French. I could read really good in French. I could read German. I understood more German because I studied it longer in that way. But when you're also thinking about the way a person acquires language, we aren't able to turn around and repeat everything our teachers say, but we can understand a lot more of what they say as we're building up our listening time. So that's the primary focus for the Panay program, is to build up listening time to that 2,000 hour mark and beyond. And then when you're getting to the point where you want to try speaking, then the teachers, you can ask them, help me. I asked them a while ago, correct me, because now that I'm starting to take turns teaching, I know that I'm still making mistakes with tenses, or it's like I get nervous and I want to, get all this stuff in there and get these students talking. So I'll mess up endings and things. And so I tell them, correct me. Because if I teach you the wrong way to say something, and then you go and start talking to people, and they're like, what is he talking about? They're not going to understand you. And you have other fluent speakers, coming in and out of different environments that you're in. So you want to be able to communicate with those other ones.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way it seems to go, because, I'll sit and watch the first speakers sitting there, and even Howard, and they'll all discuss words amongst themselves. So it's an ongoing process.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing too that I find fascinating is we've gotten materials from the Western speaking area, like Minnesota, Wisconsin, over that way. So it's a different dialect. I think they speak more slowly, and to me sound more sing-songy. It's more pretty to me to listen. Not saying that this language isn't beautiful, hearing our speakers who teach, who are from Wiki.
It fits the joke telling.
Yeah.
It fits joke telling, I think. That's what I think. Like the Western is more sing-songy, and it's kind of like crowd speaking and more romantical almost. But then I think that the Odawa, it's like they're telling jokes, and I like it.
They like to share a lot of humorous stories. So, so now when I'm taking turns, if I'm not doing the ASLA method or some other method that I've picked up, from other workshops, I will try to do stories. I can't do them maybe as long as they do them, but I usually try to tell funny stories. Sometimes there's serious stuff too, and in the wintertime they'll maybe share stories that have a cultural, what's the word, cultural theme, or something about Nanabojo, or how something came to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the old school stories, you never really know what you're going to get. They tell a wide range of stories here, a wide range of stories, even if it's just like a movie they watched.
Yeah.
I remember they're sharing about a movie about World War II in Japan. They're telling a story about that one time.
Yeah, and when the program was fairly new, the ladies who were teaching at the time, they acted out the whole movie Misery with James Caan and Kathy Bates.
wow.
Yeah, that was like dinner theater.
Yeah, we need to get these ladies a show. We need to get them on cable TV at least, or streaming.
Something. Yeah.
Like a niche Saturday Night Live language special.
Right.
So for people looking to get into the program, I mean, once again, you said there's multiple locations for immersion here in Baraga, in Bay Mills, and then Petoskey?
Petoskey Harbor Springs. Yeah.
So for people looking to get more information, where can they look?
They can look at the bmcc.edu site and look for me, or you can contact me via email, mwellman, WELLLMAN, at bmcc.edu. Yeah, so you can email me there. You can call the college, 800-844-2622 is the 800 number. And we do have a BMCC Facebook page, so you can look on there, and there's should be some information. You might have to scroll a little bit, but we're going to be getting information onto that really soon about the summer programs and just our Panay immersion programs in general. So.
Okay, very good. And then here in the KBIC, I have funding that helps me go to class. You guys have some different options there on campus?
Yeah, for the on-campus classes, if you have half your credits on campus, then you can probably be eligible if you're a member of a federally recognized tribe for our Board of Regents tuition award, which is like Bay Mills Community College's version of the tuition waiver that you can get at public universities here in Michigan. The thing that's better, I think, at BMCC as far as the tuition award goes is that it's not reliant on blood quantum.
Okay.
That blood quantum thing irks me.
Yeah, we could do a whole another segment on blood quantum.
Yeah, but there might be bad language involved.
I can beep it out. I'll go beep them out.
I don't want to talk in front of the babies about stuff like that, but it just makes me mad. The teachers even, and the students who used to come from Canada, they would mention that they'd have to bring their blood quantum letter, and that has nothing to do with going across that border. So that really, really upsets me when we start talking about blood quantum. And so if you want to register and attend at the Bay Mills Community College site, if you're a member of a tribe, then you should be eligible, and I think it's up to a certain number of credits. And also people they might be eligible for Pell Grant money. So if you're not a member of a federally recognized tribe, a U.S. tribe, you can maybe get some help that way. There is also American Indian College Fund scholarships that all of our students, no matter where they're registered, can apply for, and there's scholarships through that program that are either for part-time or full-time students. So anybody who's in any of our classes can apply, and I think it might be getting a little more competitive, but it's also
which is a good thing,
right? But I think it's also the American Indian College Fund tries to support everybody. You know? So if you apply, you stand a pretty good chance of getting one of those scholarships. I mean, it's not a whole lot of money, but every little bit helps.
Oh yeah, for sure. So this is the last thing then, and I gave the same same venue, I guess, to the first speakers here. There's a lot of people out there that haven't started their journey learning the language. There's some people that are even timid and they don't want to use the language. This is your chance to recruit more students. What do you have to say to those people that haven't really started that journey yet? Why is it important for them to get moving on the language?
Well, because our language is important. It's part of our identity and who we are as a people. Some people would call it a sacred sound, but it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
To be here and to be hearing these stories, and
fulfilling is the word I'd use.
Yeah, I think it's very fulfilling. It just, to me, when I started on that journey a long time ago, I just felt like it really helped me to feel an inner strength in my identity as a Anishinaabe person that I maybe was not as certain about until I started getting into that. It's just fun. I don't know.
you got to do it to know it. I mean, once you get on that path, you just really feel it.
Yeah.
That's the same we were talking about. It's like it reawakens something that you didn't even know was there.
Yeah, and I've seen that in students who come, because we do offer like just 1 credit introductory classes that we incorporate to see if people, you know, if they just want to try it out. Because when you look at the program, our program is longer than for like a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, 2,000 hours.
Yeah. So actually, it comes out to 3,720
really?
contact hours if you do the full 6 years.
Yeah.
So 1 credit, 15 hours. So students can come for 5 Tuesdays per semester to our on-campus class, or they could probably even sign up here, and just come for 15 hours and listen. And I've had students who have done that, and they're like, I want more.
Oh, yeah.
So they do want to come back and sign up, just this last school year we had somebody start, and now she's in the summer class, and then she's, she signed up for 1 credit. Actually, she did all 3 1-credit classes, so she was there for every Tuesday that we have class, because we have weekday classes on campus. And then spring semester, she was there for all the Tuesday, Wednesday classes, so a 6-credit class. Now she's in a 6-credit summer class. And
So there you go for people out there that are kind of hesitant. I mean, it's just one of those things that once you're in, it just gets you, and you just want to do it. So take that first step. Get a hold of Michele, get a hold of the BMCC, get in the class, start learning your language, look up those resources. There's resources all over the place. You just got to kind of get up and do it. It's like hauling wood. Haul the wood. Get the work done.
right.
All right, well, we thank you very much for sitting with us, and we'll talk to you again.
All right. Thanks, Mitch.
Miigwech.
Aha, Miigwech. Bama. Bama pi.
This is Indigenous Insights. We're back here in the studio with Howard and Kenn. And I had a question I wanted to ask you guys because it's got to be one of the biggest controversies out there when it comes to the language learning community. From the west to the east, there's a lot of arguments about dialect. Does dialect make a huge... I mean, Kenn has told me he spoke with a lot of different tribes and he's able to communicate different languages, different tribes. Can you guys talk a little bit about the dialect between the Anishinaabe?
Dialect is an English word, first of all. All right? Once you think English, then you're going to have issues. If you think Anishinaabe, there's no such thing. Miigwech, we would say. We say over here. I've been out to the foothills of Alberta / Montana, to the Mississippi Basin, to the eastern seaboard, and I find an elder usually, and we'll talk about dialects. We just start talking, and yes, some words are new, and we need some explanation, clarification, whatnot. Throw that word out, dialect. It's all the same. It's just a matter of but the white people, they ingrain in us, colonialize us to think in dialects. And now what that does is it brings division, and it brings superiority complex to one group and looks down on the other as being the inferiors or the superiors or so forth, much like in Ishpeming, in the next town there. What's the next town there?
Nagani?
Anyway.
Nagani?
Yeah, Nigani.
Like the rivalry?
Nigani-Ijik is the word. Nigani-Ijiks who are still alive here in Wiki, there used to be Nigani-Ijiks in what they call Nigani now. And that's where that term comes from. And this Ishpeming is up high. So when you're traveling by freeway in the old days by the water, Ishpeming was the highest point of the land. So that's why they would call it Ishpeming. Now, these guys, after the colonial influence of church and government and missionaries and whatnot, began to argue amongst themselves, including dialect, because one was closer to heaven and one was going to hell. The Niganis were going to hell because they were lower on the topography of the landscape. And that's totally ludicrous, insane, and so forth. So throw the word dialects out. Because I talk to old people, and they understand me. I talk to them. And even that young fellow, what was his name? He brought the flute over to Michigan Tech. I went up to talk to him. He's from Montana. I could understand him. He could understand me. In the language.
Montana, I think that's Arapaho. The Arapaho are over that way.
No. He wasn't Arapaho in this case. He Firestarter, I want to say, but I forget his name now. But he's got CDs out, and he was just awesome there. So throw that word out.
Throw it out. Howard, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, the same thing what Kenny said. Dialects is usually coming from at the university level. If a fluent speaker is teaching at University of Duluth or Minneapolis, and other speakers speaking from, let's say, Toronto or University of Laurentian University in Sudbury, it's they say it's a dialect. It's a dialect. You're from Ontario, you got a different dialect. No. It's the university level where people are changing the voices of the language. Like they're always changing something. They're always changing the tune of the language. It's at one point in my life, I've overheard elders say that the language was all the same at one point here in the Great Lakes region. Like Stephen said, he was all over Great Lakes. He used to sail on the steamers years ago. That's when he was younger, and he said, he said he met natives who in Minnesota, Wisconsin that spoke the language, perfect language, same as him. And I believe in that man, because he was around. And at one point in my life, I met a guy from New Mexico, I heard a guy say he spoke perfect language like I do, but he didn't speak that much, but he could speak the odd word. We were eating pakakwe, we were eating chicken in Mount Pleasant, and this guy came there, and I was talking language with my friend. We were talking about food. Pakakwe mina, kukushweyas, kamijam. He said, "Oh, get Ken done with the what the make." He says, "I know what you guys are talking about. I'm from New Mexico." He says, "I know what you guys are saying." Oh,
New Mexico.
Yeah. So I was really surprised. His family came originally from Detroit. That was about 90 years ago. He said.
Oh yeah.
So he kept up with the language with his sisters and brothers. So that's it's amazing how language spreads too. I don't know how many more people speak that language down there, but it is there. And also one point I was stopping at St. Ignace at the Big Boy restaurant. Another guy came up to me and says, "Are you Anishinaabe?" I said, "Yeah, Anishinaabe Ndao." And then I am a native. So he was a truck driver from Arizona. You know what he said?
What's that?
He was at the residential school in Spanish, Ontario.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's where they kicked him out of there when he was 17 and a half years old. That's where they kicked him out. He said, "It's time for you to go on your own." He said, But in between, he said he was a lumberjack in northern Michigan. That's where a lot of Anishinaabes were working in the woods. So he picked up a lot of his language back on his way. And he spoke perfect language too. And this guy's been gone from the reserve for almost 40, 50 years, at that point in time. And there's no dialect. He didn't mention no dialect. He didn't mention no differences. When I go to Minnesota, I understand every word they're saying. Their language is only one way. Like me and Ken could talk to each other, different answers, different questions there, but we're still talking about the same thing.
Yeah, you're talking about that true fluency.
Yeah. It's not one way. So when you're learning at the university level, you're only going one way. And the thing is, the bad thing about that is when you're going one way, you're always going to argue with the fluent speaker.
Yeah. Because does it feel different speaking to those people that speak that way? I mean, what's it like speaking to them?
They're very argumentative. All they want to do is argue. They said, "This is not the way the teacher taught us,
Oh, in English. But I mean, even when they're trying to speak to you in a language.
Well, they're always talking circles.
Okay.
They keep using the same words all the time.
I mean, does it sound like they're speaking like a kid, or is it even not even like a kid? They just don't even have that communication.
They don't have the momentum.
Momentum
to back their words up, or sometimes they let you lead and they follow behind. Like they gotta follow instead of them leading. 99% when I talk to people like that, I always got lead.
Yeah.
When I throw them off, then they stop. They talk English then after that.
Sorry. When I was there one time, I'll go talk to my mother. Locals told me, go talk to my mother. She's fluent. I was getting it random. Now, one watch I won't live. He said, "Yun watchak." Oh, I think there's still seeing this now. There's a being donate to Mr. Sobonjar and then Cassie. You got your hair out in the matcha. The snow is mushy and they will talk. Dance.
Yeah.
As English ko to. Like what Howard is talking about reminded me of this incident where this lady told me to go talk to her mother who was fluent. I went and talked to her in the language. She says, "Oh, I don't speak language. It's been 25 years. It's a bit too long." Which to me is like a hogwash. I just walked away out of respect. Because a lot of our people travel the globe in various occupations, and they come back just as fluent as when they left. And he's talking about Stephen there, and he's talking about other people. We never forget our language. We're all over the States, and, we're just so happy to hear our language and use our language, even 25, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever. And you don't forget unless you want to forget. And there are those people that are like that, unfortunately. So, no. So to get away from this self-division of acrimony, and, where I come from, this your res speaks a different dialect, so we can't communicate with each other. That's American. That's so very U.S. of A, colonialism, divide and conquer. In Canada, there doesn't seem to be any of that. I could be proven wrong. I have no problem being proven wrong, but I've never run across it. But it's only in the U.S. of A where, and that's that elitism that Howard is talking about. They've been taught by post-secondary levels or secondary learners that are just starting to learn on their own, and they think there's only one way of saying one thing when there's actually 1,000 ways of actually saying the same thing, depending on the speaker and the context, circumstance, and who the speaker is, age-wise, and so forth. So you can never forget the language. So get away from the idea to, well, I'm better because I speak this dialect. So get away from that.
Like Howard said, travel far and wide. Learn it from everywhere. All right, so before we sign off, Ken, I wanted to give you one more chance to talk a little bit about what you have coming up. What's on your planner here? You've been sharing stuff on Facebook like crazy.
Thank you. Thanks for asking. Yes. Next week, Monday and Tuesday in Toronto, Ontario, I host a 2-day workshop on Anishinaabe cultural grief. Grief is grief, but cultural grief is one thing. We're talking about spirit, the spirits, and spirituality, and the language that goes with that. So...
And what's the date of that event?
Sorry?
What's the date of that event?
Oh, that's on the 7th and 8th of May. It's on my website. It's full already, and they're already asking for a fall workshop, and we've taken registrants already. But it's to talk about healing and making ourselves happy and smiling, and how that came about is a gradual evolution from my book of When My Son Died. So I'm at stage now, 4 years later, that I can able to share my experience and help others. And right now, before you called, I am talking to somebody that's been assaulted at one of those residential schools. And wanting help with that healing. So, and then there's the frontline workers that work with the trauma laden and the grief-stricken and so forth. So, and then getting calls from other parts of the country to do these workshops. So I'm available for these workshops.
Very good. Howard, is there anywhere where people can go to learn more about you and your endeavors, or do you have any language materials that are out there, anything like that? Or you're just kind of a man walking
we're trying to work something out here basically around the Berga here on the tribe, and there's other people that are volunteering to help, and we also got a class at Tuesday nights at the senior center.
Oh, that's right. Tuesday night senior center here in Berga.
Yeah,
what are the times for that?
It's 6:30 till 7:30, whichever long it takes. It's free. There's no charge to it.
Okay, and what's the atmosphere like? You come hang out, do stories. Is there food?
Yeah, there's no food. We just do language.
Language, and
language. And it's no cost. If you want a smoke break, you go out and smoke. And if you want just chat in the language, we learn to say words, the pronunciations in the language. And, a lot of words that sound the same, but they use them in different meaning. There's so many words that we don't ever use in the language. Like all they ever use in the language. We sin. You say, Nakwe we said, Kisheva we said, instead of, or Nakwe chige for lunch, Nakwe chige, or if you're running on the run, you say manchige,
So it's hitting it from all those different, that true fluency angle.
Yeah.
Very good. Tuesdays, 6:30 to 7:30 in Berga.
Yeah, at the senior center.
At the senior center, Miigwech. Well, I think we're starting to...
Follow.
No.
Can I jump in one more thing? I have an international debt symposium in Toronto for September. It'll be on my website for more info. I am a speaker, and I've been invited as a result of my book. The organizers have read my book.
Very good. What's the website one more time?
It'll be on my website, KennPitawawanakwat.com, when I have other details and dates, but it is in September.
Very good. We'll get you back on the show before that, too.
Miigwech.
Miigwech. So thanks for calling in. Howard, thanks for being here today.
Miigwech nichka.
This is Indigenous Insights.
Miigwech.
Go ahead and say Bama to the listeners, guys.
There's a say we nang buding.
Baba minwa basabat tagom. Miigwech.
Yeah.